Well, we'll deal with Gnome's question later, I guess. Dan, how you doing, man?
I'm clearly doing pretty well. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. We had this whole funny thing, this funny picture we were gonna put up of you, but you totally, preempted that by crooning in the background.
Oh, is that not what you're supposed to do? I'm really, really sorry.
All right, let's just see the picture anyway, because Anthony Baines spent time doing this. Let's go one shot or two, whatever. There you are. You get no respect.
That's dead.
Pretty good. I mean,
Thank you.
it's exactly the way I envisioned.
All right. Well, you've been called the best writer of your generation. How do you respond to that?
I say thanks, Mom. It's one of the nicest things you've ever said about me. I also say that I try to undercut any emphasis on me being good at all. So
yeah, do your good looks get in the way of your writing?
A lot of glasses going on right now.
There are a lot of glasses going on right now, and similar glasses.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Beckley. I could really turn that question right back on you, in terms of good looks and blogging.
Yeah, no, they usually go hand in hand, but we're breaking the cycle. Ethan wants to talk to you about why people should care about John Starks. Ethan, get in here.
I don't know if I like the framing. As somebody who bought a QVC rookie card of John Starks back in 1993 or 4, I got it with my allowance money. I don't know if I appreciate the way Beckley framed that, but I do want to talk about the Knicks, Dan. I know that you're a longtime Knicks fan and somebody who really loved those 90s teams, and I'm wondering, the current Knicks team, playing pretty well right now, how do you feel about them versus how you felt about those old, scrappy, Pat Riley, Jeff Van Gundy Knicks teams of yore? How does it compare?
It's definitely a different feeling because there's never going to be, with this, or certainly with this year's team, there's nowhere near the level of consistency that we've had, or that those teams had in the 90s. Those teams were perennial, 50-win teams. You knew exactly what you were getting with those teams, in the grinded out style and the beat 'em up style. But there was never any, there wasn't really flair to those teams at all. There wasn't real offensive talent in that same way. The best offensive player that they had during that run was Patrick Ewing, and he was never anyone's idea of someone flashy. So there's more capacity for something amazing to happen now, but there's also way more capacity for something horrifying to happen now, which makes the watching experience really, really different. There's the element for me, just as a watcher, as a fan, I'm never gonna love this version of the Knicks as much as I love the one from when I was a kid, just because you don't love things when you're an adult the same as you do when you're a kid. But it's, the highs are a little higher and the lows are way lower at this point, if that makes sense.
It's funny because I loved the Knicks growing up, and I think maybe as I was younger, the highs and the lows, it was even more so. I think I've sort of turned against the Knicks in the Dolan years and spending so much time on the West Coast. But I always had this yearning for Patrick Ewing to be validated. He was such a tragic figure to me, and somebody who was known for never winning the big one. And I just had this ocean of sympathy for Ewing. And I wonder, you're a big Starks fan, as I know. If you could have a Knicks championship for either, you had to just choose one to get the championship, would it be Ewing or Starks, and why?
Oh, that's a really fun question. If I thought about this for a long time, I'm sure I could drive myself crazy. So my immediate reaction as soon as you let that question go was Ewing. No doubt Ewing. Because John Starks is never going to be viewed as, he's never going to be viewed as great. That'll never happen. It wouldn't happen if he had 11 rings. He'd be viewed as, at best, someone like Robert Horry, who, was fortunate enough to be on a bunch of teams that won championships. But with Ewing, he's there. He's one of the, or was at least when they ranked it, one of the 50 greatest players of all time. And it's like, but he's always viewed as a little bit different. And yeah, now I do hear that growling.
I know, I apologize. Zorro!
No, yeah, with respect to Ewing, that's the kind of thing that I think he gets viewed as not as real a thing because he wasn't David Robinson that won championships. He wasn't Hakeem Olajuwon that won championships. He wasn't Shaquille O'Neal that won championships. He was just this guy that was really good for a long time, and then he wasn't, and now he's been like a career assistant for the last decade. So I would, if I could pick one, I would definitely pick Ewing because I think Starks is fetishized to the right degree. People that love John Starks are going to love John Starks the way they love John Starks forever. But Patrick Ewing is like right on the cusp of being someone that actually is taken seriously in a historical context, and this thing would make that different.
Yeah. On this show, we're all about Starks fetishization. It's something that we support, and so I'm glad that still exists and that you're confirming that from the outside world. I want to ask you a question about how you are on Twitter. You, and I don't want to cause you to blush. You're my favorite person to follow on Twitter, and what I think is
nice
interesting about it's completely true, and I think it's because it's sort of a no-no on Twitter to kind of talk in the first person a lot, but somehow, you have it down pat and it's very funny. Do you put any thought into that? Is that your natural tone on Twitter? What are you trying to accomplish when you're out there on the social media landscape?
Wow. I mean, I'm gonna blush, so thank you so much for that, Ethan. No, yeah, I have to think about that a little bit now because I'm lucky enough now that my job is writing about basketball on blogs as a full-time job, and that there are people that pay me to do it, and so that becomes a thing that like I have to make sure I don't just curse at everyone or say the worst thing there is all the time. I don't know, but I mean, in terms of so that's the stuff that I think about. I need to not be profane. I need to not be, rude or untoward to people. But I think generally I wasn't doing that anyway when I was just a guy that liked to make jokes. The only abiding principle that I have with all that stuff is make a bunch of little jokes all the time. The internal monologue in my brain is just it's like robot noises and little jokes. That's all that happens in my head like 95% of the time. So all of that comes out on Twitter because there's no filter for it. I was not aware that first person was bad. Maybe that is something I should stop.
Might have made that up.
But you might have made that up. That might be a lie.
Definitely made that up.
I don't know. Yeah, I think one of the things that might be good about this is that I started writing on Twitter before it was a thing. No, this is not. I'm not going to make this a thing.
Oh, this is where it's going.
I know.
This is where it's going.
I promise. I started writing on Twitter before I had any reason to try to pretend I was anything. I was just a guy that commented on like the Basketball Jones and read the Blowtorch and read Talk Hoops. That was what I did as a job. So like.
Way to placate Zach.
Yeah, no kidding.
No.
Wow.
But it's wow. I had no reason to pretend. I had no reason to pretend to be anything. I could just be nice to people that I liked, and then that became the people that I liked became professionals, and so I got to tag onto their coattails.
Let's not throw around accusations
about professionalism. Yeah, no.
Yeah, come on.